Hello and welcome to News Track. I'm Olumide Macaulay. We begin at the courts, and the long arm of the law has indeed caught up with one of the commanders of Ansaru terrorist group, Mahmoud Usman. He was today at the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja, sentenced to 15 years in prison. The convict, who was arraigned by the Department of the State Service, DSS, he did plead guilty to the charge of illegal mining activities, which enabled him to acquire arms for terrorism and kidnapping purposes. The trial judge, Justice Emeka Wite, ordered the defendant to be remanded in the custody of the DSS pending his trial for 31 other charges preferred against him by the service. In a 32-count charge filed before the Federal High Court in Abuja, the suspects, Mahmoud Usman and another Abubakar Abba, are alleged to have committed acts of terror, sometimes in 2022, by attacking Wawa cantonment of the Nigerian army in Kainji, New Busa, Boduku local government area of Niger State, which resulted in mass casualties. They are also alleged to have received training in weapons handling and fabrication of improvised explosive devices from various terrorist camps. The suspects are also accused of receiving training in war tactics from the terrorist organization in Mali. Now, how about some cheery news, not just for residents of Kaduna State, but the entire country as well, as the United Kingdom has revised its travel and advisory for Kaduna months, moving the state from red to amber category, a change that now allows British citizens and their partners to travel freely and make investments in the state. The announcement was made by the Development Director of the UK Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, Cynthia Rowe, during the signing of a new mutual accountability framework with the Kaduna State Government at Sir Kashim Ibrahim Government House. She explained that Kaduna had been classified as a no-travel state in the UK travel advisory list since 2022 due to heightened insecurity, stating that the removal of the state from red to amber is in recognition of the improved security situation. According to Governor Obasani of Kaduna, the partnership has already contributed to reducing maternal and child mortality, improving healthcare access, upgrading school infrastructure, and strengthening teacher training.
We know that security is a key constraint, and it's also a key enabler of growth and of development. And Kaduna has weathered a period of heightened security challenges. One of the things that I'm really here to recognise today is the achievement, the great achievement of the security situation in Kaduna. And for the UK, Kaduna has been moved from the UK travel advice that we give out from red, which was our sort of high alert status, to amber. And we recognise that this is thanks to the steadfast efforts of the Governor, Obasani, and of your team around you in terms of making the state safer for people. So congratulations on that. It's very well done.
The CAMUP serves as a tool for accountability, ensuring transparency and alignment with the aspirations of the present administration. The key achievements of the Kaduna State Mutual Accountability Frameworks include health sector improvements with expanded access to quality care, reduced maternal and child mortality rates, and enhanced responses to public health emergencies. In education, increased enrollment, improved school infrastructure, better teacher training, and improved learning outcomes, including opportunity for entrepreneurial skills. Agriculture has experienced significant growth, receiving over 10% of the total budget of 2025, the highest allocation in recent years. This funding aims to align with FCDO and other partners' interventions to enhance productivity in crops and livestock.
From Northwest security and bilateral relations to the development of skills, Vice President Kashin Shettima has asked relevant ministries and agencies of the government as well as the private sector to unite to ensure that every Nigerian acquires the skills needed to thrive, in line with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu. He gave the charge during the 7th meeting of the National Council on Skills, NCS, at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. He also commended Governor Obasanjo of Kaduna State for setting up and chairing the first Kaduna State Council on Skills, describing it as exemplary and urging other subnational governments to follow suit.
We have to unite as our people to see that the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not a collection of isolated policies. It's a carefully thought out framework. It is a covenant with the Nigerian people, and central to that covenant is the promise of human capital development, a promise that every Nigerian can acquire the skills needed to thrive. And fulfilling such a promise is not contingent on interagency harmony. It demands it. We have to unite. We have to forge that harmony, that sense of togetherness, that sense of focus, that sense of vision, that sense of drive for us to accomplish those objectives. We must move towards a new streamlined workflow that embeds collaboration directly into the process of curriculum development and funding. No door to funding can be unlocked without both the ITF and the NBTE turning their keys together. Let us remember who we serve. As we leave this meeting today, we must continue to strive to develop and impose a unified command structure for Nigeria's skills revolution. We must replace fragmentation with a framework for partnership.
From there to the health sector, in the nation's capital, Rollback Malaria Partnership to End Malaria Prevalence in collaboration with the African Leaders Malaria Alliance and the Ministry of Health is hosting a dialogue with the theme Harnessing Africa's Central Role for the Big Push Against Malaria. The dialogue has in attendance the Coordinator Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, Minister of State for Health, Isaac Salako, Dr. Isaac Salako, some ministers of health and eco estates, and other development partners. The meeting aims to reignite national, regional, and global momentum, mobilize resources and partnerships, as well as promote innovation and access to a healthier future. Now, a retired Honorable Justice of the Court of Appeal, Oladotun Adefokwe Okoje, says the judiciary needs to do better as the justice system of the country is comatose, which is why Nigeria is losing foreign direct investment, as investors won't come to Nigeria or a country where litigation goes on forever and sometimes justice is even aborted, with many believing they will never get justice. Giving remarks at a book launch titled Civil Litigation in Abuja, Justice Adefokwe Okoje also carpets the political class, as in her years of experience, she's witnessed total disregard for internal democracy and the political class hounding judges for all kinds of careless judgments, trying to induce them. She calls on the NJC to uphold the tenets of professionalism and anti-corruption. As if the judiciary collapses, the country will collapse, because the judiciary is the soul of democracy, where a judge can determine who will be governor or who will be president. She also said it's shameful that judges still write in longhand and technology has not been introduced, as this is responsible primarily for a backlog of cases. She urges judges to take judgments on their merit and stop or drastically reduce the issue of technicality, as this has led to many people seeking justice having their hopes dashed. She implores judges to fearlessly uphold justice, just as in the days of military rule. She says the country is not moving, as the political class has plunged the nation into a theater of religious and tribal leanings, which has further divided the country. In Akwa Ibom, Governor Umar Eno and the Managing Director of the Rural Electrification Agency, Mr. Abba Aliu, says President Bola Tinubu's reform in the power sector, especially the signing into law of the 23 Electricity Act, that is the 2023 Electricity Act, have opened up the sector for life-impacting interventions. Speaking at the Rural Electrification Agency state-to-state engagement, Governor Eno and Mr. Aliyu both insist this has brought power to unserved and underserved communities in rural areas across the country through the off-grid solution. Our correspondent, Delia Moyeni, reports.
It's the 14th edition of the state-to-state engagement between the Rural Electrification Agency and state governments to catalyze energy access in the state electricity markets. This edition is the turn of Akwa Ibom State, and the governor applauds the federal government as it pledges to match their intervention.
I would like to thank the president for investing in the agency and so that you can reach at least the unserved. The MD himself is scheduled to deliver a paper that speaks to these questions, and I sincerely look forward to listening to you again. I must say you are almost becoming a professor in rural electrification management.
The Rural Electrification Agency reveals that Nigeria is now set to increase local capacity.
On the 14th and 15th, there is going to be the first national forum on innovation, whereby the entire country will come together to discuss localization and manufacturing of renewable equipment in the country. India, Turkey, Malaysia, Indonesia, what they have specifically done to reverse the importation of PV panels from Chinese.
Some key stakeholders also speak on the impacts of these interventions on Nigerians.
Earlier in this administration, His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu changed the electricity market, giving states more powers over their own electricity market, empowering them to come up with their own regulations and pass those regulations at state level. Being able to harness that to ensure that we scale the mini grids that we deploy, both in the communities, both in the education sector, in the health sector, agriculture as well, ensuring food security, to ensure that people can be alleviated from poverty and their destinies are really in their own hands, empowering them to do so.
We're actually putting up a 600 megawatt solar panel assembly plant that we'll use to put up off-grid, mini-grid, and integrated grid to power the Nigerian businesses and solar home systems. And I think this is very important in view of what is happening with power supply and energy in Nigeria.
The local manufacturing of off-grid solution equipment promises to be a game changer for the country. Delia Moyeni, Channels Television News.
On the foreign scene, Ghana has received 14 migrants deported from the U.S. as part of Washington's campaign against undocumented migrants. President John Mahama says that nationals from several West African countries will now be taken in following a bilateral agreement with the United States. He added that the decision respects the ECOWAS free movement protocol, which allows citizens to reside in member states without a visa. Now it's time for business news. The International Energy Agency says renewables will surpass coal as the world's top power source by 2025 and meet all new electricity demands through 2027. Solar PV will lead the growth, with nuclear also rising. Renewables' share of global electricity is set to climb from 30% in 2023 to 37% by 2026 and nearly double by 2030. The IEA highlights falling solar costs and strong policy support as key drivers. Oil demand, meanwhile, is projecting to grow by 740,000 barrels per day in 2025, with supply expanding from both OPEC Plus and non-OPEC producers. Excuse me. The federal government has entered into a partnership with the International Solar Alliance, the ISA, to establish a $500 million fund aimed at expanding solar energy projects across Nigeria. The initiative, unveiled in Abuja, is designed to accelerate investment in renewable energy, strengthen Nigeria's energy mix, and promote access to clean and affordable electricity. According to officials, the fund will support both on-grid and off-grid solar projects, enhance local capacity, and attract private sector participation in the country's power sector. The Minister of Power noted that the collaboration aligns with Nigeria's commitment to achieving energy transition targets and reducing dependence on fossil fuel. The federal government has generated about 600 billion naira in value-added tax from foreign digital service providers, including global tech giants such as Facebook, Google, and Netflix. The Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, disclosed the figure, noting that the revenue was collected under the new digital tax framework, which mandates non-resident companies providing services to Nigerian users to remit VAT directly to the government. According to the FIRS, the compliance level among foreign firms has been encouraging, reflecting the effectiveness of the tax reform introduced to broaden the country's revenue base. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, the NURPC, has announced that it's secured $400 million in decommissioning liabilities from oil and gas operators as part of efforts to ensure sustainable environmental practices in the sector. The Commission says the funds represent financial guarantees set aside by companies to cover the eventual dismantling of oil-field infrastructure, including platforms, pipelines, and related facilities at the end of their production life. According to the NURPC, the movement is in line with the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA, which mandates operators to provide adequate provisions for decommissioning and environmental remediation. Let's catch you up to speed with sports news. Nigeria's acting High Commissioner to South Africa, Alexander Ajayi, has urged Nigerians not to crucify the Super Eagles following their 1-0 draw against Bafana in Bloemfontein. The acting High Commissioner was addressing members of the Media Innovation Program, sponsored by a company who are on a study tour of South Africa. He says Nigerian officials who had come to support the Super Eagles did their best to console the players after the World Cup qualifier match.
That might be it.
Please and please, don't crucify the Super Eagles. Please try to tell the Nigerian public the boys did their best. I've never seen how committed the soccer players could be to their country. I saw that in those guys. They are one of this set of Super Eagles are one of the most level-headed players you can ever get. From close interaction with those boys, they did their best. They had Nigeria at heart. You only need to be at the dressing room after the match. They became unconsolable. The stadium was bad. It was not good at all. In fact, they watered the stadium just 10 minutes before the commencement of the match. So it was slippery. The moment the boys got there, you will see, if you want to corroborate what I'm saying, 4 players who are taking off the pitch. Then the intimidating, roaring voices of the South Africans.
Venezuela have sacked their coach, Fernando Batista, a day after their World Cup qualifying dream came to an end after an intervention by the country's president. I beg your pardon, a day after their World Cup qualification dream died and an intervention by the country's president. News of Argentine Batista's sacking alongside his backroom staff came after President Nicolas Maduro had called for a restructuring in the technical staff. That was 24 hours after Venezuela, known as the Vino Tinto, were thumped 6-3 at home by neighbors Colombia, ending their hopes of reaching a World Cup for the first time. They finished the group stage with 2 wins, scoring 6 goals, 10 defeats from 18 matches. Chelsea have been charged by the Football Association with 74 alleged rule breaches related to payments to agents between 2009 and 2022. The charges are primarily focused on events which occurred between 2010 and 2011 and the 2015 to 2016 seasons. Roman Abramovich was in control of the club from 2003 to 2022. The alleged rule breaches concern agents, intermediaries, and third-party investments in players. Chelsea, say they had reported the potential rule breach to the FA themselves, have until the 19th of September to respond. Pole vault world record holder Armand Duplantis says he hopes the World Championships in Tokyo will be more fun than the apocalyptic Olympics 4 years ago. Duplantis is aiming to better his own world record for a 14th time and wants to enjoy the experience more than the Tokyo Olympics.
Because of the shoes, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's one of it's like a bucket list place to compete at and also just experience the culture of the city and whatnot. And I feel like all of us didn't really get that experience in the Olympics last time. Yeah, and it was just very, it was very strange for everybody, very apocalyptic almost in a way, and just like really, in a lot of ways, not enjoyable, honestly, and just scary. So I'm very excited to be here, and we get to have like a more real, true experience where you get to kind of have the real meaning of sports, which is, I guess, bringing people together and have the sense of community. So I'm really excited about that, to see what the crowd has to offer. I know the stadium's like super beautiful and nice, and a place that you can jump really well, and then also just like exploring the city.
Finally, Jamaican sprint legend Usain Bolt has backed either Keishawn Thompson or Oblique Seville to beat defending champion Noah Lyles in the 100 meters at the World Championships in Tokyo. When asked about Lyles' outspoken persona and his comments on Jamaican prospects in the Japanese capital, the 11-time world champion said he was not worried about his 100-meter world record of 9.58 seconds being broken anytime soon.
So if you'd like to ask a question, just raise your hand high so we can pass it over.
We have a very good chance this year. It's all about if they can execute and hold their heads this year, and just not listen to the noise and just to go there execute, because there's no reason they shouldn't be 1-2, because they're in the top fastest times in the world this year, and they've been competing and doing well. So it's just about going out there and executing, and it should be fine. So I'm very confident that they can get it done. I'm not worried. I think the talent is there. There will be talented athletes coming up, and they will do well. But at this present moment, I don't see the individual to break the world record. I've always hoped that maybe one of my boys will run track and field. I don't know. They're not showing any talent yet, but hopefully one of them can break the world record.
No pressure.
Yeah. We'll see.
And that's it on News Track. Thank you for watching. I'm Olumide McCall.